half of the people that are out there that make six figures a year are waiting on their next paycheck to pay their bills. A lot of people, as soon as their income comes up, their lifestyle goes up too. And it's kind of hard to get out of that trap where you start building some significant income and then your expenses match it every time. You're basically in the same trap. I knew I had to keep my lifestyle the same if I wanted to get really ahead. But one thing I never did was I never deviated from that plan, ever. Go all in. This business will change your life. All of you guys that are in here right now, you're in the right place, you're here at the right time, you're with the right company, and you're with the right leadership. You have to go all in though. The ball's in your court.
All right, how's everybody doing today? So today we have a special guest, Isaiah Tademy. Isaiah, how you doing today, man?
What's up, man? Feel great. Dude, after that, I'm ready to go.
Right? Nice. Hey, so I asked Isaiah to come on because he at the conference here, he was real humble and successful, and he talks about diversifying your income, and it's something I think a lot of agents, we make money, but we don't know what to do with it, or we spend it on things that, watches, Maseratis, whatever. And I think Isaiah, and he's kind of like Andrew, where he's diversifying and he's making sure he's set up for the future, because some of you guys are super, super young and you could blow through your cash like professional athletes, and we don't want that to happen. So I brought Isaiah on. So Isaiah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, dude. Uncle Jimmy. Appreciate you having me on. Dude, literally, look what just came in the mail. I'm not even kidding. Like,
Oh, come on, man.
2 minutes ago. Oh.
Boom.
This is Uncle Jimmy Salsa. So talking about diversifying, he's building a salsa business. I love it, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm just a regular guy, bro. I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'6", so I naturally played basketball. I played college basketball. Was fortunate enough to do that, and then I kind of went into the corporate route, and I managed a bunch of truck drivers. I was like a fleet manager for a few years, and I worked my way up there pretty quickly, just because I've always been like a really competitive guy and motivated guy, and just always wanted to do really good. And one time, I remember this day really clearly. One day we were at lunch on a lunch break, and some of my coworkers, they were talking about their salaries. I think people had maybe one or too many drinks, and they started sharing about their income and stuff. And I was like, I'm like the lowest paid dude here in the room by a mile, and I perform better than all of these people. So that kind of ticked me off. And then I requested some time off, I remember, like a week later, because my family was going on vacation, and it got rejected, my time request off. And I was like, okay, I need to find a vehicle where I can get paid based on my performance, not my tenure. And I met a guy at a gym I was going to locally who was in the life insurance space, and he's been trying to recruit me for a really long time. And he ended up convincing me to shadow him for 2 days. So I called in sick for 2 days, and I shadowed him, and he went out and sold like 9 policies in 2 days and made
Wow.
like, yeah, he's still to this day, he tells me like, dude, that was the best 2 days I've ever had in the business.
Wow.
But yeah, he made a few $1,000s, and I was like, man, this guy isn't that sharp. Like, no offense. If I just do half of that, I'll do way better than I'm doing right now at my job. So I put in my 2-week notice right away, and that's when I jumped all in. The crazy thing about that story was that insurance company was not FFL, so we were on a 50% commission. So when I was there, it was just really crazy timing. As soon as I was there, everyone started leaving to FFL, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? Like, I just joined this company. You guys sold me on how great this opportunity was. Now everyone's just jumping ship. And so that's when I decided to jump ship too. I was just like, I guess I'll just follow along. And long story short, man, dude, January will be 5 years. I'll start my 5th year, and we're just under 3 million issued paid a month with 280 riders. And I'm just
Amazing.
a guy who just never quit, dude. Just kept going. Just
That's
kept pushing.
amazing. So what was your biggest obstacle, obviously, besides jumping ship, when you joined Family First Life? Was it closing a deal? Was it getting the leads? Was it just getting comfortable? What was your biggest obstacle?
Dude, if I'm going to be really honest with you, I was always kind of like an introverted guy, and this was when we were all still face to face, right?
Mm,
So me going face to face and knocking on people's doors kind of freaked me out, but we were doing that at the previous company. However, when we transitioned to FFL, it was like a breath of fresh air because the company I was at, we were kind of working like bait and switch leads a little bit. So people weren't really knowing what they were getting themselves into. And then
mm,
we were flipping the script on them and selling them life insurance at the end. So when I found out about FFL, I was like, thank God I can actually talk to people who want life insurance. I didn't feel like I was tricking anybody. So that part wasn't really an obstacle for me. I understood as well, like, the investing in leads and buying leads and stuff. That part didn't really, it wasn't a huge obstacle for me because I understood the concept behind that. I think what did scare me though was going all in because I was a guy that was like really cheap. I didn't come from a ton of money, and the thought of putting $1,000 a week at that time into leads was like, dude, that's like all the money I have. You know what I mean? So, but Andrew helped me out a lot, throughout my journey, um, and just helped me understand the importance of pouring back into this business and fueling it with fire. Living, with delayed gratification a little bit because I really took after him. He talks about that a lot, and dude, I was totally bought in because I was really inspired by a lot of people here at the company, Andrew, Sean. I mean, just so many different leaders here. I was totally inspired, and I knew if these guys can do it, I can do it too. So
yeah, I
I would
think
say to answer your question, yeah, I would say the biggest obstacle for me was fully committing because I was a little scared. I didn't really think I could really do it. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think one thing FFL does, and I think this is the power of the company, is if you need help, everybody's willing to answer that phone call, right? Give you that advice, take the time out of their busy days. Like, that is something that where a lot of other companies, they say they'll do it, but they really don't deliver on that. But this company, just like I reached out to you, I've never met you before. And look, I got you on here, and it's amazing because those are the things I want people to know. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to other uplines, to other people, because they have different knowledge and it's going to make you grow, right? That's the most important part. So, what advice right now would you give to a new agent, brand new agent? What advice would you give them, Isaiah?
Um, Good question, man. Um, I'll tell you a big lesson that I learned. Okay. Um, and I would say the biggest thing is you need to have an abundance mindset just to be successful in this business or just in life. Because I think towards the beginning of my career here, when I kind of started figuring things out a little bit and started selling a little bit more,
Hmm.
uh, I was hesitant to share what leads I was running, what exactly my strategy was with other people, because I was scared that if other people would do it too, it would take away from me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You're like,
But
hey,
when I switched that mindset, when I when I figured out that if I'm just valuable to people, whether they're on my team or not on my team, the world works in really mysterious ways, man. And you kind of put yourself in a position to get really lucky. So I would say my biggest piece of advice is have an abundance mindset. There's enough clients for everybody here to do really well. There's enough for all of us to go around. Provide value to people, and value will come back to you 100%. I can't even tell you how many times in this business where I was just like, how did that happen? Like, landed an all-star recruit. How the heck did that? I got so lucky with that. But then when I really look back at the timeline, it was like I put myself in a position to be lucky. And it's just by providing value to people. You know what I mean? And sharing and helping out. You know what I mean?
yeah, I believe in that. I believe in the universe gives back. If you give to the universe, it gives back to you. And I think people that do, like, I don't always make the sale. I try to communicate and educate my clients, and sometimes, I don't make the sale because they do have a good policy, and that's something that I just don't feel like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be that pushy salesperson because at the end of the day, we have to look in the mirror and look at ourselves, and I wanna be that person that I'm proud of and my family's proud of instead of being that salesman that, when you come around, everyone's kinda like, "Oh, there here he comes again," you know what I mean? We don't want that. So,
Right.
me and Andrew were talking and Alondra were talking the other night, and something that I was always good at was going into companies and kinda seeing where their shortfalls are. And I've been here. This is the second time around, and the first time I felt like everything was in place, but I never knew that when you went in the house, there was kind of an art to getting someone on the phone, getting an appointment set, having to invite you in your house, and then obviously doing your pitch, right? And then taking a check from them in their house, right? Walking out with money. That was kind of something that it took me a while to learn. This time around with the telesales and everything, I think we've kind of got away from the art of the close. I think we talk about having great scripts and how to get leads and do all the things, but and Andrew said he said that we used to put people in the hot seat. Have you ever been in the hot seat? Do you know what that is?
At my previous company, they used to do a hot seat. Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
is it? What is a hot seat? Tell that's
Uh, I
uh,
don't I don't know what terms you're talking about, but like they would call people out and we would have to basically role play in front of the whole group.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
It
And
works, dude.
I think it works.
It
I
does.
think we're not doing it. I think our new agents, they're seeing all these really successful people and they don't realize like when I first started in January again, dude, I couldn't I sold 2 grand a month. And then I went to 4 grand a month and then back to 2 grand. And then I did 8 grand. I thought I did good. And Sean Mike punched me in the face. It's like, bro, that sucks. That's not very good. You're not going to make it after you subtract the lead costs, the chargebacks, the taxes. You're broke. So then I was like, okay, that's it. I got to up my activity, right? I got to try harder. And then I actually popped 30 grand. And it was something that I did for myself. But I think if we can get more role play going and get people rebuttals and put them in a hot seat, then when they're really live, and that low hanging fruit's there, they'll be able to snatch it right off the tree. But right now, I think there's a lot of agents that, aren't getting pushed with rebuttals and things from in a comfortable space. It's
Yeah.
always live and they spent money for it and they're under the gun. Whereas I think, if we can try to find a way to start doing more of that role play and activity, I think you're going to see the numbers go up. I might be wrong. Like I said, I'm new at this, but that's a piece where I think the leads are great. I think the scripts are great. I think the training's great, but I think we're not putting them under fire enough before they hit the actual phones or going to the houses. What do you think?
No, I think that's great, dude. I totally agree with that. In fact, I mean, we don't call it hot seat in our group, but we do something very similar. We all work on Zoom together, just like this. Everyone's is dialing and we're calling leads together and we're running appointments together. And we encourage new agents to unmute and run their appointments live where we can actually hear everything that's going on. Um, there are a lot of people that are scared to do that. Again, just because they're scared of what people might think about them. But we all had a day one. We all started
Yeah.
at some point. We were all that rookie. We all sucked, right? So we know exactly how to help you. And in fact, what we're seeing is the agents that are unmuting are getting a little bit more help because they're, for example, just the other day, um, we had an agent who was stuck with underwriting, wasn't too sure where to put the client, and all the managers are on the Zoom watching. They're just like America, boom, boom, like telling them which carriers are right because we're hearing the whole presentation. So there's just a lot of advantages. And then after the call, it's like he's getting immediate feedback right away. Hey, you shouldn't have said this. You shouldn't have said that. I would have probably said this. So in a form, it is a hot seat. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, dude, is like you don't grow if you don't kind of get uncomfortable with things, right? If you
Right.
kind of sit in your comfort zone, you hide in your turtle shell and your camera's off and your mic's off and you're running appointments and you're doing things wrong, how can anyone help you? So get a little uncomfortable. You're gonna mess up. We already know you're gonna mess up. It's part of the business. And just so you know, we get paid when you get paid. So we want you to get paid. So like we want you to get better. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. And I think
So
it'd be
it's
better to
only exactly.
I think
It's
it'd be
only
better
going
to
to
mess
cost
up when when you're practicing than when you're live dialing, right? And you pay for them leads. So, um,
100%,
yeah, I think
100%.
I, I wonder if anybody would want to be in the hot seat right now. Do you think we can get one of our callers to jump in and do their pitch with us, do their spill? Do you have anybody, Isaiah?
Andrew said, let's get someone on the hot seat.
Who
Should
can
I
we
should I
get?
call someone out?
Yeah, call someone out, please. Help me out.
Should I pick someone with their camera off or camera on?
Doesn't matter. Oh, camera on so we can see them.
Camera on. All right. I'm gonna go with Rachel. She seems pretty engaged. Oh, she's like, dang it.
Rachel, who?
No, I'm ready. I'm ready. Grill
Ooh,
me. Tell me why
Let's
I
go.
suck.
nice. So I'll be the client.
Okay. Let me pull open my script. Okay. Who am I role playing with? Jimmy?
Yeah, I'll be the client.
Okay, good deal. Who's my upline? I like this. Jimmy?
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Jimmy. This is Rachel. I'm just getting back with you about the mortgage protection insurance you requested with us on Ethos. I don't know if you didn't find what you were looking for online, but my job is just to shop around with every A+ rated carrier in your state. We'll find you a plan that fits your needs and your budget. Then we'll submit a request for coverage. Let me just verify. Is this your date of birth? X.
Yes, it is.
Excellent. And is this your address? X.
Yes. So what are you calling
Excellent.
for?
Again, this is about the mortgage protection that you requested through Ethos Online. So we'll go ahead and ask a couple of questions just to verify, find a plan that fits the budget and that fits your needs. So it says you were looking for about 150,000 in coverage. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's about what I have left on my loan.
Excellent. And who are we looking to protect?
My wife and kids.
Your wife. What's your wife's name?
Melissa.
Melissa. Okay. Are you working right now, Jimmy?
I am.
Great. What do you do?
So I'm in the entertainment business, so I run venues.
Excellent. Okay. And you are 48, is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And then is your wife working too?
Yeah, she is.
Great. And what does she do?
She works for the airport.
Great. How old is she?
She is 59.
59. Excellent. And then what are your kids' names?
Stratton and McCall.
Awesome. Great. Okay, Jimmy, do you smoke?
No, I don't.
Excellent. Those are so bad for you. Does Melinda smoke?
Melissa, no, she does not.
Melissa, I'm sorry. Melissa. Excellent. Are you on any medications?
No. No, I'm not. Thank goodness I'm not.
Okay, awesome. Any surgeries in the last 5 years?
Knee surgery.
Okay. Any other major medical conditions?
Not that I know of.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we're looking for about $150,000. Is that how much you left on the loan, you said?
That's how much I have left, yeah.
Perfect. What's the monthly mortgage on your home?
$1,350.
Okay, and is that a 15, 20, or a 30-year loan?
I have 12 years left on my loan.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so any medical conditions like this with either you or Melissa, stop me when we get to them. Heart attack, stroke, TIA, cancer, stents, diabetes, neuropathy, lupus, asthma, thyroid, anxiety, depression, kidney, or liver diseases. Anything diagnosed off that list?
For me, no.
Okay, any of that for Melissa?
I don't think so. Maybe thyroid. I think maybe thyroid.
Okay, maybe thyroid. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with you. Any 401k, IRAs, stocks, bonds, or anything that will act like a life insurance to give to Melissa when you die?
IRA.
An IRA. And how much is in your IRA?
About 300,000.
About 300,000. Perfect. Okay, and do you have any actual life insurance policies currently in place?
I do.
Okay. And who is that through?
It's through American Amicable, and Ethos.
Okay, awesome. So you have 3 separate or they're stacked together?
Yeah, I have 3 separate.
Great. And combined, how much is that for?
Probably about 750,000.
250,000. Jimmy's given me a situation he might not need life insurance. Great, love it. We're gonna have to find another why. Okay, so this is basically what people in your position, Jimmy, usually do is they like to leave a last I love you for the kids. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. We're going to go ahead and find a plan where we can leave a good amount of money for each of the 3 kiddos and say, hey, this is the last I love you from dad. And then we'll look at something for Melissa. But first, we got to start with you. Make sure we leave them a last I love you. So, how much money would you like to leave to each of the 3 kiddos?
So 2 of my policies are term and they're getting ready to term out. So that's kind of why I filled out the form. And I would like to probably leave them each at least 100,000.
Okay, each 100,000. Okay, so which of the ones are term? I'm guessing the ones from Americo, AM, or Ethos. Which ones of those are term?
American Amicable and Ethos.
Okay, and how many years are each of those for?
One was they're both for, I think, 20 years. And I think there's
Great.
3 years left. So I was just curious about seeing what's out there before I get too old and sick.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, perfect. Before you get too old. Awesome. So let's go ahead and talk some numbers then and figure out what's in your budget. How much are you bringing in combined with Melissa monthly?
Monthly, probably about 13,000.
About 13,000. Excellent. Okay, and is that before or after taxes?
After taxes.
After taxes. Okay, great. So then after all your bills are paid, how much is left over?
Probably about 6.
About 6 grand. Okay, perfect. So you want to find something for each of your kids. Okay, Jimmy, if you can give me about 2 or 3 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and find some quotes for us, get them together, and then we'll find something that you like and submit a request for coverage. So what I'll need are 3 different things here. We'll need your driver's license number. That's just for them to check for reckless driving, any DUIs, your social security number to check your prescriptions. It's probably not anything that you haven't already told me. If not, they'll find it. And then your routing account number. I can get the routing number. If you can get the accounting number, that's going to be associated with your coverage. Can you go ahead and find that while I pull up some numbers for you?
I can, but I'm just not comfortable giving my social over the internet, over the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, that's just for them to go ahead and check your prescriptions. There's no other reason why they would be using that other than to look for any prescriptions or medical history. It's not for me to use, it's for the insurance company to look at. Okay, so go ahead and grab those 3 things, your driver's license, social security, and the account number. I'll go ahead and pull up some numbers for us.
Okay.
Do you want me to actually pull up some numbers for you?
Just make them up.
Okay. Okay, Jimmy, are you still with me?
I am.
Okay, so I went ahead and found some policies for you for the 100,000 for each of the children. It looks like it's going to be about $300 a month for that first policy. Now, if you wanted to leave them a little bit less and the 300's a little bit tight, we can fudge these numbers to fit your budget. Okay, so we have the first option 1 to leave them each 100,000 would be $300 a month.
And what's that
Now,
for?
if you want to go, I'm sorry.
Is that a term? What I don't understand. What am I paying $300 for?
Oh, yes, sorry. So this is going to be a whole life policy. Okay. Now this would be a term for 100,000. Forget it. Screw that. I'm fudging numbers here. Give me a minute. So for 100,000, yeah, that would be a term. We wouldn't be able to find a final expense for that much. It'll be a term insurance. So it'll be for 20 years. Okay. And after so this is buying you 20 more years. Okay. So we'll go ahead and put this in place, a term, and it'll give each of the kids $100,000 for $300 a month, and that's for 20 years. Okay, that's option one. 20-year term, $300 a month, $100,000 for each child. Okay, and then if we don't like that $300 a month, we can go ahead and scoot the coverage down to $75,000 for each child. $75,000 for each child, and this one will also be a 20-year term. 20-year term, and this one will be for $250 a month. $250 a month. Ooh, IUL, crap. And then number 3 is an IUL. Okay. Do you know, Jimmy, do you know the difference between an indexed universal life express policy versus a whole life policy? Do you know the difference?
I don't even know what an
Okay.
IUL is.
Okay. So an indexed universal life insurance policy, all it does is build cash value a little differently than a whole life policy. Do you know that whole life policies build cash value? Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay, and that you can borrow against those?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So with an IUL, an indexed universal life policy, those still build cash values, but the rate of return on what the company is trading with, it's not always guaranteed. So sometimes you can gain 4,000 in a year. Sometimes you don't gain anything. Okay, that's the indexed universal life policy. And both of these are whole life. They go for your entire life. They just both build cash value differently. Okay, so with the IUL, you can gain on that. Sometimes you don't gain at all. Sometimes you have great gains. It just depends on how the year goes with trading. With a whole life policy, it's usually a lower face amount, and they have guaranteed rate of return. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so the third one, option 3, we're going to look at an IUL, and which is the one that builds the cash value. It's not always guaranteed. That's the one we just talked about. Okay, and so this one will be also for 75,000 for each of the kids. 75,000 for each of the kids. But this isn't just an IUL policy and a life insurance policy. If it will pay out in 5 ways. Number 1, go ahead and get a pen and paper for me, Jimmy. You can write the ways that it pays out. Okay, this is for the IUL, Indexed Universal Life. Go ahead and write that down.
Okay.
Okay, 5 ways. Number 1, death. If you die, it's going to pay out the 75,000 to each of the kids. That's number 1. Number 2, if you become disabled. So let's say you get hit in a car crash this afternoon, and you're on disability, or you can't work anymore. It'll pay out that disability. Number 3, you're writing these down: death, disability, and chronic. Okay, so if you have a chronic illness where you have to be bathed, you have to be changed, you have to be fed, it will pay out a percentage there. Depending on which product we go with, it'll pay out different percentages early before you die for each of these. Number 3, terminal. Okay, if they tell you, hey, Jimmy, you're going to die within the next 12 to 24 months, they will pay out some of that money early to help pay for your terminal illness. Okay, so we have death, disability, chronic, terminal, and critical. If you are in a critical condition with your health, they will pay out early for those as well. Okay, so that's for the IULE. That is not just a life policy. It also has those 4 living benefits in addition to the death benefit. Okay. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I'm kind of in a rush to go to another appointment. Is there any way you can send me that in the mail?
Sure, we can absolutely, or in the mail. Usually we can either send you an email, but Jimmy, we can just go ahead and get this taken care of in the next 10 minutes. Okay, all we'll need are those 3 things that we talked about: the driver's license, the social, the routing and account number. All we need to do is get you over the finish line. We just need to get you approved. Once we get you approved, we can go up in coverage, down in coverage. We can find a plan that fits better. But right now, we've got this urgency to leave them something. We just want to get you over the finish line.
Yeah.
So go ahead and grab those 3 items, and we'll go ahead and take care of this in about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Run it through in
you
10
kind of
minutes.
gave me a lot of information. I'm kind of confused on, and I kind of want to look into it a little bit more because I was just looking for some life insurance, and now you've gave me all these different ideas, and I just kind of want to how would I get that information from you?
Sure. Well, I can go ahead and schedule you for another appointment where you have some more time. What are you doing today between 3 and 4 p.m.? Are you home from work by that time?
No, I'm busy today.
Okay. What about tomorrow? What time do you get home from work?
I usually get home about 5 o'clock.
Excellent. 5 o'clock. So I will put you in the schedule about 5:30. That way you can get in the house, take your shoes off, sit down on the couch. You'll have Melissa there with you, won't you?
Yes.
Excellent. Then the 3 of us can sit down. I can answer the rest of your questions. We'll make sure everything is comfortable for you and Melissa, along with your budget, to leave the kids a last I love you from dad. Okay.
Perfect.
So, Jimmy, go ahead and write down this confirmation number. And this is what I'll ask for when I receive the call, or when I will call it to you. This is what I'll ask for so I can pull up all your information. You don't have to answer any of those questions again. We'll get right to it. Let's go ahead and write this down. PR2420. You got it?
Yep.
PR2420. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow between, what time did I say again?
5:30.
That's correct. 5:30. Awesome. I'll talk to you and Melissa tomorrow, 5:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Grill me.
Jimmy, am I grilling or you grilling?
You grill her. And then
All right. First of all, everyone that has their camera on, let's give her a round of applause. And if your camera's off, drop a one in the chat if you thought she did a good job. I better see some ones. Come on. Everyone's whose camera's off is just not, there we go. There we go. All right, cool. So I thought you did a really good job, okay? Especially being brand new. There's probably just a couple tweaks that I would do. First thing is, what I want to say is, a confused client will never buy. Never. Okay, no matter what. There was a lot of information given to Jimmy. So the way I like to set up my appointments is just really, really simple. I set the right expectations in the beginning. I have a solid introduction, and my goal in my introduction is to get them to commit to the plan. And basically what I'm doing in my introduction is I'm edifying myself. I'm showing them that I'm licensed. I'm giving them all of my credentials. You noticed how he didn't want to give you his social? You noticed that in the beginning? So I give him my NPN number, and here's a tip I heard from Rob Richmond. He says when he gives them his NPN number, he says, this is my business social security number. So that's an important number. And when he says that, he will never get pushback on his social. And I've implemented that myself, and I never get pushback on that. So take that as a tip. It works really well. So I show them my credentials. I help them understand what we're going to do today. You know, what the call is going to be about. They make me go through some questions with you. I let them know that I'm a broker. I work for every single company in the state of whatever company they're in. And then I always let them know, I said, hey, I just want to let you guys know also, it's not me who actually approves you guys for the insurance. I wish it was, because if it was up to me, I would just say yes to everybody, but I'd probably lose my job. So what then I say is, so even when, and I'm being very assumptive, even in the very beginning, when I'm first starting the call, I'll say, so even when we find a plan that we like, you notice I'm saying when we find a plan that we like, I'm already assuming that he's going to do this. When we find a plan that we like, we still have to get the insurance company's approval. So we're going to send them an application, and they're going to look at your medical records and also your driving history. And based on those two things, they'll let us know if you can have the plan or not. Does that sound good? And then if he says, yeah, that sounds good, I know I've won. I know, because he's committed to the entire process. He's committed to submitting the application. And now there's no pressure on me. I don't really have to do much selling. Now it's just really just trying to figure out what policy is going to fit his budget. Okay. So I would just tweak that. I would probably just set really, really good expectations in the beginning. I tell my agents, if you have a solid intro and you botch the rest of the presentation, you're still going to close a lot of deals. You will. So I would just really, really focus on setting really solid expectations in the beginning. Second thing that I would give you some feedback on is you kind of went into from mortgage protection to leaving a legacy for the kids. That's not what he inquired about. So if I'm running a mortgage protection appointment, I am selling him mortgage protection. I'm not talking about anything else, even if he has existing insurance. One thing that I do is if I find out he has other policies, I spend that money, those policies, on other things. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. Jimmy says, oh, I've got a policy for America from Ethos and American Amicable. And I'll say, what'd you get that for? Oh, I got those for my kids. Just life insurance. I just want to leave something behind for my family. Then I'll say, okay, so we definitely don't want to mess with those because we definitely don't want to take away from your kids and from your life insurance. Okay, but you filled this out because you were wanting to make sure that your mortgage was taken care of, so you didn't have to use those insurance policies, so you didn't have to use your life insurance on your kids on the house. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to agree. Now I'm back on mortgage protection because that's what he inquired about, and you're going to have a higher percentage of closing the deal if you're giving him the product he was looking for. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if they have insurance, it's okay to spend the insurance that they have on other things. Ask them what they got it for. What'd you get that for? Life insurance, I guess, just for my kids. Okay, well, I definitely don't want to take away from your kids. So we're going to leave that there. And I'm going to help you with this. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Third thing I would give you feedback on is at the very end, when you were presenting the options to him, it got a little confusing. When I present options to my clients, I only change one variable in the three options. Okay, so I'm not going to show like a 20-year policy. I'm sorry, I'm probably even lost track of what you did because it did kind of confuse me a little bit, but like a 20-year policy and then this other policy and then an IUL. Like these are all totally different products. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show him one product, and this is for if I'm selling him mortgage protection because I don't want him to be confused. I want this to be so easily understandable that it's either a yes or a no. Like there's no thinking about it. Like there's really nothing to think about. So I'm going to show, I'm only going to change one variable. So what I like to do is when I show options, I'll show a full mortgage payoff. And all that is just the face amount of, or the amount of their loan, right? Here's a policy that's going to pay off your whole loan. Here's a policy that's going to pay off 3/4 of your loan. And then the third option is here's a policy that's going to pay off half of your loan. So it's the same policy. I might be selling an Americo term 125, but the three different options are going to be a $400,000 option, a $300,000 option, and a $200,000 option. There's really not much to think about there. It's which one of these fits your budget. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
One other thing too, sorry, that I just thought about. One thing that you did also that will confuse the clients is you have to understand that they're not insurance agents. So when you say things like IULE and you name the actual name of the product, that can be really confusing. They can be like IULE, like what are all these terms? What is all this? Just talk about what the policy does, not necessarily like what the policy is. So that's how I literally explain it to my clients. I'll say, all right, I've got three options for you, Jimmy. Okay, so I'm a broker. We just looked through every single carrier in the state of California, and the company that's giving you the best rate is a company called Prosperity. I've got three different options for you, Jimmy. Now, we can tweak these numbers however you want to. So if you want to see a little bit more or a little bit less, we can do that. But the cool thing about mortgage protection is it's customizable. I've got these three options here because this is just what I see most of my clients do. All right, so we have what's called a full mortgage payoff, and that does exactly what it says it does. It pays off the whole loan. And we've also got a 3/4 payoff, and this covers 3/4 of the loan. And then we also have a half mortgage payoff that covers just half of what your loan is. Does that make sense? I didn't say IULE. I didn't say Americo Term 125. It's just very confusing for clients. What the policy does. Does that kind of make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, just a real quick recap. Set right expectations at the beginning. If they have life insurance already, don't let that deter you. Spend that money on other things, and then keep the 3 options really simple. Only change one variable because you'll confuse your clients.
Yeah, I like
And you do
that.
that, you'll sell a lot of insurance.
I like that.
Thank you so much.
I
Ooh, I've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. You're gonna crush it. Jimmy, you saw my comment, right?
I'm sorry?
Saw my comment in the chat, right? I said you better be nice to her. I'm a recruiter from you.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
No, that's part of the game, right? So the one thing I think is I I don't like I wasn't even a client and I felt like it was just too long for me. You know what I mean? I think if we can condense the time on the phone, and I talked about this at the conference, but we used to be able to grab people's attention for 60 minutes because sitcoms were 60 minutes long. So you could sit through a sitcom, so you could sit through a meeting. Then we went to 30-minute sitcoms. So then we were conditioned to sit for 30 minutes. With TikTok, we have 6 seconds to make an impression. So I kind of have been really reading a lot and studying about how to engage with people with this new social media because they just sit there on their phone and they look, oh, psh, 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 psh. And that's basically how I feel like when we call them. And something that has really worked for me was I just ask them, hey, Rachel, how you doing today? And with that, hey, Rachel, how you doing today? They're like, good. Who's this? Like, and I'm like, my name's Jim Hensley. The reason for my call is you're inquiring about getting some life insurance. I just want to verify a couple things. And then I'll verify like their birth date or their address. And then if they're looking for how much coverage. And then I ask them, do you want whole life or do you want term? And do you know the difference? So right there, just like that, I kind of grab them and then I engage with them, right? And it kind of, when I ask how they're doing today, they're going to tell you, I don't feel good, I'm at work, or I have time for you. And I think for me, when I started doing that, then I was like, okay, I got these people, and now I can go to my script. Now I can go run quotes and be more efficient with the time with them because I noticed that when I was too wordy, they were hanging up on me, or they were finding a reason to get off the phone. But when I just hit them with the basic, how you doing today? They're more welcoming. They're going to let you know. They're going to know how they're doing. And then you're going to know, telesales wise, where you stand with them. The other thing is you got to, like he said, we got to pick what we're going to sell them, and then get them to that finish line. That's our goal, right? We bought the lead. We did our presentation. Now we have to do the art of the sell. We have to close them down. And I think we do that by being efficient and then having everything ready and up in front of us, right? So have the quotes. They want whole life. Okay, have you heard of an IUL? Walks and talks just like whole life, except it's going to come. It's a product that they created that comes in cheaper. It's not a guaranteed product, but it has all the living benefits. And then if they don't know what living benefits is, then you kind of give them, you kind of steer them to what that is instead of walking through every single one. And I think time is our biggest adversary. If we can condense everything down to get their attention and get them, because once you give them a quote, if they like the quote, comes in at $89, comes in at $59, comes in at $130, then you got them, right? And then it's just getting into the application, getting over the finish line. And Andrew said something to me the other day. It was really funny. He's like, I would walk in houses and people tell me, no, no, no. And he was like, Jimmy, what's your middle initial to your middle name? And you would say R. And he goes, great, Jimmy R. Hensley. Now, what's your address again? And he said, I'd be walking out with a check. After they told me no the whole time, I basically did trial closes on people. And I think that's something that the trial close is a part where you ask, do I have the 3 forms of identification, right? That's part of the trial close. So you're making sure they're set up so you to close, right? And I think if we start finding out what And trial closing is pushing them to the finish line, right? So there are little questions we ask to get them to the next stage. Instead of hoping they have their social and are going to give it to us, you're telling them, I need this or we can't go forward in the application. You're telling them it's not going to cost you any money today. We don't even know if you can qualify. So we have to do the application to see if they're going to qualify you. So those are steps that are going to get you down the finish line to get over the hump to get the application in. So those are different. That's a different tactic. But Andrew, it was funny because he was like, they would tell me no, no. And I'd say, what's the first initial of your middle name? And they'd be like, R. And he's like, great. So you're James R. Hensley. And he goes, I would just write the application out. Before he knew it, I was walking out with the check. And I just thought that was amazing because, and it's funny when I talk to him, I know all those things start coming back when he was in the field because, he hasn't been in the field in a minute. So, but it's all starting to come back. And then it's just stuff I like to share with people because it's important that we realize that our main focus is to get them insurance. Right, Isaiah?
100%, dude.
And it's how we get them over the finish line, right?
Right.
Well, Raychel, thank you so much. That was amazing. Hopefully we all learned something. I know I did. I took some notes because I love that NPM is my social security number for my business. That's amazing. I mean, those are things that you're only going to get if you're on the call, right? I mean, those are things those are just little nuggets of information that you only get if you engage and you're on the call. So really, Isaiah, do you have anything else?
As far as feedback goes, no, I think that's it, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Raychel. Appreciate it. So Isaiah, let's get to that diversify and then we'll get off this call. So you talked about the conference that now when you make extra money, you're buying a property to diversify your portfolio. So how's that working and what made you think of doing something like that? And because I think it's brilliant. I mean, I think that's so smart because we don't know if we're going to be doing this the rest of our lives and you're actually making something that out of insurance, right? That's going to build a little empire for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So if you guys were in Vegas, you heard me kind of talk about this. So I apologize if I kind of repeat myself a lot, but they say that, the average millionaire has 7 different streams of income, right? And it is true, but what they kind of trick you into thinking is like, you need 7 different streams of income to become a millionaire, and that's definitely not the case. Every millionaire, they did a study. I forgot the exact percentage. I believe it's 79%. 79% of millionaires have obtained their wealth from one stream of income, from one. And after they've obtained their wealth is when they've diversified. So I've always wanted to be in real estate just because I'm on social media a lot. I watch the Grant Cardones and I watch all these really, inspiring entrepreneurs that do really well in real estate. I've always wanted to. I just never had money. I never had money to get into real estate. It's expensive to play the game of real estate. So I've always just was looking for a vehicle to do that. And when I found insurance, this is when I got literally completely obsessed with building this business not just so that I can do insurance, but just so that I had cash flow to do what I want, whether that's, financial freedom, whether it's vacations, whether it's, real estate. So what I've done, guys, is, I started, January will be 5 years ago for me. And part of my talk in Vegas, I was talking about, what it takes to be obsessed and go all in with this business to get it to the point where you want it to go. And guys, it does take like a crazy amount of obsession to get really good at this. I'm not trying to scare anybody whatever your goals are, right? You don't have to be literally obsessed with this business to do well. But if you want to perform at a very, very high level, it does take a level of obsession. And the example that I gave in Vegas is like, guys, I was literally living and breathing insurance all day, every day. Like we would go out and eat at restaurants and I'm on my phone and Carolina and I would have like a couple fights sometimes because she's like, Isaiah, like we're at dinner, just put your phone down, you know. But I can't stop thinking about it. We're walking our dogs, and I'm like, babe, you should have seen today. Like, you know, this guy told me he wanted to think about it, and I overcame it with this objection. You should have been there. It was so cool. And she's like, you know, okay, cool, you know, like, and I literally just can't stop talking about it, guys. It got to the point. Put a 1 in the chat or raise your hand. It got to the point where I started having dreams about insurance. Does anybody have like dreams that they're selling insurance? Anybody?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, Andrew, yeah, 1-1. All right, guys, I started having dreams that I was selling insurance. And I remember I called Andrew one time and I was like, dude, like I'm starting to have dreams that I'm selling insurance. And Andrew's like, dude, you're good, bro. Don't worry about it. You know, you're on the right path. All right, later. You know how Andrew just hangs up on you like mid-call? Those of you that talk on the phone with Andrew, you know what I'm talking about. I'm just like, all right, I guess I'm on the right path. But you know, it just takes you know, a healthy amount of obsession to get really good. Like, guys, I just literally all in about this, you know, about this business. And the second thing that I did and, you know, incorporated with that was practicing delayed gratification. And Jimmy kind of touched on this a little bit earlier in the very beginning of the call, but a lot of people in business, young entrepreneurs, especially a lot of people, looks like a lot of people here are pretty young, getting going in here. A lot of people that are young, I mean, not just young, but you start becoming an, you know, self-employed businessman or woman, 1099, and you start getting paid. And a lot of people will, as soon as their income comes up, you know, their lifestyle goes up too. And it's kind of hard to get out of that trap where, you know, you start building some significant income, and then you know, your expenses match it every time. You're basically in the same trap. There's another statistic you guys probably heard, that 51% of millionaires, or not millionaires, 51% of people that make 6 figures a year are living paycheck to paycheck.
Mhm.
That is freaking crazy. Half of the people that are out there that make 6 figures a year are waiting on their next paycheck to pay their bills, and it's because they upgrade their lifestyle. So I've watched Andrew a lot, and I'm a guy, I'm kind of quiet, but I study people, and I've seen a lot of things that, you know, Andrew has done. When I first met Andrew, I believe, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, bro, but you were driving like a Toyota Camry for a while.
Celica. He drove that thing
Huh?
into the ground. Toyota Celica.
Dude, and Andrew can drive any car that he literally wants to, buy it in cash, and he's driving this thing. And success leaves clues, you know. So I was just watching him, and I was like, man. So my income over the years, I got really good at this business and started building an agency, and money started coming in. But I knew I had to keep my lifestyle the same if I wanted to get really ahead. So what I did, guys, is since day one I started here, I've kind of had like this little financial budget thing that I do, and take this with a grain of salt. You don't have to do it exactly the way I did it. This is just what worked well for me. But when I got paid, at the end of the month, I had a business account, right? Where I have a business account. And at the end of the month, what I would do is I would look at my profits, right? All of my income comes into this account, all of my expenses. So FFL bonuses, commissions for my sales, overrides, everything comes into this account. And all my expenses come out of the account: payroll, staff, leads, all that stuff. At the end of the month, I would take the profits. So whatever I profited, I would take 50% of that number out. I would take 50% out. I'd leave 50% in because I need the business to pay taxes. I wanted to have savings, things like that. So I have this 50%. Out of this 50% number, I would put 75% of this number into like my investment account, where I had money that I wanted to invest. And the remaining amount, I would put it in my savings / like money that I could spend and have some fun with without like feeling guilty about it. Okay. So in the beginning, it wasn't much money. It really wasn't. $100, $400, $500. I don't know, maybe $1,000 a couple months. But over the course of time, that number started to grow, and it started to grow, and it started to grow. But one thing I never did was I never deviated from that plan, ever. So, I mean, fast forward to now, five years later, we're at a point right now this year where we've bought a rental property every single month this year with this investment account. And we have no plans of stopping either. So we're going to just keep on doing it, hopefully all next year too. But guys, that is because of life insurance. I would not be able to do that without being obsessed with this business. So
that is amazing. That is just
hopefully
amazing.
that inspires somebody. Hopefully that makes sense. But just living a little bit below your means. I've seen some of my peers, some of the people that started the same year. For example, okay, I'm not going to say any names, but I was talking to a guy that has been in the business here at FFL longer than me. Okay. And he called me one day and he's like, dude, how are you buying so many properties? And I was like, how are you not? You've been here longer than me. But it was just the decisions that we made with our money. He again, I'm not calling anyone out, and I'm a believer in spending money too. Like, I'm not a guy that says like, don't spend any money and live like you're a homeless person for all these years. Like, you have to, that's why I had like that 25% number I told you about. I had that number to where I can like have guilt-free spending. So like Carolina and I, we go on vacations and we go do fun things and we go to nice restaurants. Again, we don't live like homeless people, but we just budget it, right? So these are just different decisions that this individual and I have made over the course of the time that we've been here, right? And just so you know, he has a bigger agency than me too. Like, his agency is bigger than mine. And he was just like totally mind blown. I'm like, dude, how are you not doing it? So the decisions you make, obviously, play a big role. So those of you guys that are getting going here and getting started, go all in. This business will change your life. And I've looked around at a lot of different businesses because I've always wanted to get into a business that's going to give me the cash flow that I want to do things like this. There's nothing else out there that produces cash flow like this. Nothing. And that's not a biased opinion because I work here. It's the truth because I've actually looked around to try to find it, and there's nothing. So all of you guys that are in here right now, you're in the right place. You're here at the right time. You're with the right company, and you're with the right leadership. You have to go all in though. Now the ball's in your court. But that's the beauty of this business. You can scale it how you want to. If you want to do this business to pay your bills, great. If you want to do this business because you want to buy a rental property every single month, great. I mean, and there's even bigger scales than that. Like, I've been to some conventions lately. Like, I went to a couple real estate conventions, and this guy bought like $30 million of real estate in the last 2 years. I'm just like, holy smokes. This is just a crazy world out here. So
it is. It's crazy how much money is out there.
You got to have an abundance mindset though.
Yeah, you do.
There's enough money for all of us to go around. There's enough out there for all of us to eat. There is.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Everyone can eat at the table, right? There's no crumbs. Everyone can have a plate. That's the beauty of it. Well, Isaiah, I appreciate you, man. Raychel, thank you for doing the hot seat with us. Isaiah, again, amazing. Thank you for sharing. If you paid any attention today, you're going to find a few things. Diversify your money. Stay humble because it can go as quick as it comes in, right? Hopefully we all make some sales this week, and I'll talk to you guys on the other side. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you.